Thank you so much for listening to Sunny Radio on a Friday. Each week, we've been catching up with some folks from the Sioux Empire United Way, and we've got a guest again today that we're going to be visiting with from the Sioux Empire United Way. And each week, we've been talking to people in different departments, and right now, we're going to be visiting with JoylynnBuus. Joylynn, first of all, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
And you're one of the volunteers from the United Way. Which area do you work in with the United Way?
I am. I have the honor of chairing the Basic Needs team. So our group is out visiting with agencies and reviewing their financials and their programs for really the essentials of life. These are agencies that are providing food, housing, utilities, furniture, the basic essentials that we all take for granted to people in need around the Sioux Empire.
And the basic need in Sioux Falls, there are some people that might go, well, we don't really have any needs here. But if you're not seeing huge needs, first of all, let me tell you, maybe that's because United Way is already working. But also, I think that there are needs that you might not even be seeing out there. Let's talk about some of the things like the homelessness in this area. The average person here might not realize that we have anybody that's homeless, but there are some, aren't there?
There are. The survey, the count from January of 2014 found that we had 463 homeless adults and 126 homeless kids.
Wow.
That's not something we assume is happening here. We're all so good at helping each other out, but it is a need out there in the community.
It absolutely is, and thank you to the Sioux Empire United Way for doing your part to help in that. Now, another thing that is a basic need, when you think about how many children there are that have food insecurity, where they don't necessarily know where their next meal is going to come from, there's quite a few of those too, aren't there?
There are. There's actually 1 in 5 kids in South Dakota that's going to experience food insecurity, and that's where we've really had the opportunity to step in and address that need through funding Feeding South Dakota's backpack program. That program has been very successful, and they're feeding now almost 3,400 kids in actually 43 different sites throughout the Sioux Empire.
That is awesome. And it's a great group, and thank you again to the Sioux Empire United Way for helping fund that and help make that happen, and to everybody that contributes, whether directly or indirectly, however you're contributing. Thank you so much. Now, there are other things that fall under the category of basic needs. I see on the list here the Helpline Center. Let's explain what the Helpline Center is and how that helps.
So the Helpline Center really helps us identify the needs that are out there in the community, helps us see what are people calling in to the center saying, we need help with this, or we need direction on where to go with this, and how do we do that. The Helpline Center really helps the United Way identify needs that are out in the community, and then help us feed them information to channel them towards, these are the agencies that can really help you address that, or we think this is a good fit for you to start with in getting your needs met.
That is awesome. Now, when people are making that decision each year, usually it's about once a year that a lot of the time it's your employer that'll say, hey, if you guys want to, you can make this contribution. We'll take it right out of your check and we'll do it for you. Not all employers do that, but if yours does, I want you to know where the funds are going, and that's why we're making these little programs each week to kind of talk about it. And it's fascinating to me how many different areas the United Way covers, and just within your program, how many different programs are funded through this one little portion, the basic needs portion?
The basic needs groups are, we're actually reviewing 8 different programs, and new this year we had a couple more programs that have applied for funding next year as well. So it's heartening to see that the programs are out there and growing, but also a little bit distressing to know that there's that many more people in need that we want to make sure we're getting out there and getting in front of and trying to help them be successful around here.
And as I'm looking through, the sad thing is I've got the info in front of me. They don't get to see all of this stuff over the radio. I could hold it up, but that doesn't help. But I'm looking at the numbers on here, and I'm going to share those because some of these things are just staggering to me. As I look through and see kind of down on the bottom here, it says lunch is served, provided 27,466 nutritious midday meals. That is a huge number.
It really is, and it continues to grow. It's they're out there and they're surveying. We really enjoy talking to that agency. They're out there surveying the people that are getting the meals too, and talking to their employers and what a difference it makes, and how long they can work, how hard they work, how successful they feel during the day, just to know that they got a lunch. And these are not big, elaborate meals. They're sandwiched, there's some fruit, there's some a little snack, maybe something sweet in there. But what a difference it makes to them throughout the day and to the family that they're helping to support, too.
And I know we talked a little bit ago about Feeding South Dakota, 3,408 children at 43 sites. These numbers are just huge. The Furniture Mission, last year, 1,788 referrals. The numbers are staggering. And that is, those numbers, each one of those numbers are people. That's why those numbers matter. They're all people that are being helped. So a huge thank you to everybody that contributes to the Sioux Empire United Way. And a huge thank you again to you, Joylynn, for helping with this. And I appreciate all that you do for the Sioux Empire United Way.
Well, it's an honor for me to be able to go in there and meet the agencies. A lot of times, too, they'll bring in clients that they have helped serve and tell us how they've been impacted by the services that they're receiving, whether it's the St. Francis House or the Family Self-Sufficiency Program or whatever it is. And it puts a face with what we're doing, and it really makes it so much more rewarding, too, and makes me as a contributor, too, through my employer to the United Way, feel good about where our dollars are going.
Well, thank you again for what you're doing. Folks, if you'd like to get some more information, I'm going to give you a website to go to, and I also want to let you know that if you would like to volunteer, you don't necessarily just need to contribute financially, although that's wonderful, but if you're saying, I'd like to get involved, I'd like to help like Joylynn's doing, you can get information on the same website. It's SEUW.org, and I'm going to tell you what that stands for, then it'll stick with you a little bit better. It stands for Sioux Empire United Way, so SEUW.org. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.